Welcome back to the Alcohol Free Revolution podcast. My name's James Lloyd,
And my name is Steve Smith.
and we're both alcohol free performance coaches. We kicked the booze into touch o- over 4.5 years ago now, and life's been pretty sweet, right, Steve?
Absolutely. This is going to be my fifth year come June. I can't take
Amazing.
my eye off the fact that your dogs are literally peering over your shoulder right
I
now.
know.
Like
It's because,
they're actually, they look like they should be co-hosts on the pod.
yeah, the thing is, so we're recording this on Friday evening at 4:45, and 5 o'clock's normally the time when I play with them. So they're sat here waiting expectantly for their daddy to play with them. So we're on their time technically.
Expectedly is an understatement. They are literally.
I
That's
know,
brilliant.
I know,
Brilliant.
it's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
But
Awesome.
for those of us who can't see my dogs, because obviously this is an audio podcast, what have you been doing, mate? How's your month started off?
Yeah, really good. Thank you. Really good. We had a great Christmas, great New Year, as discussed, and yeah, it's been a good month. It's been a good month so far. Lots of exciting time. Working hard. It's a busy month, obviously, and starting to really push on with the coaching and loving it. Really excited for the year ahead.
Doing a lot
It's
around
been
dry January.
yeah, a lot. Yeah, a heck of a lot of people reaching out, which is great to hear.
It's
And
crazy numbers, isn't it?
it is, but it's also been flipping cold, right? So it's been
Yeah,
kind of wrapped up and just getting stuck on with getting on with some work, which has been great. How about yourself?
bitter. Yeah, I've been doing a bit of coaching around dry January. I've also been doing some speaking work as well. I've done a few workshops. Talking about how to make dry January work for people and giving them some tips and that kind of thing. And yeah, really getting out and meeting people. And it's sort of great to hear the amount of people that are embracing dry January and want to get involved in the alcohol free lifestyle. And I just feel like it's growing so much, month on month, year on year. Obviously we're in a bit of a bubble with it because it's what we're doing professionally, but I just think there's such a changing of the tide in terms of people's approaches to alcohol, and it just feels like it's really growing really quickly.
Yeah, it's a critical day today. I know this is obviously being recorded a little bit in advance, but this is the first kind of full weekend of dry January. So people going into that
Mm.
first trickier kind of time. What's your top tip for this weekend?
Don't drink any alcohol. No, I think it's the same as always, mate. We always talk about the same thing, and it's focus on what you're gaining, not what you're losing, because you're not really losing anything, but the gains are just absolutely enormous. When it's not just about, I mean, health obviously is a huge one, but the money side, the mental health, the consistency of diet and exercise, all of those things, and just shifting your attention makes all of the difference. And there's tools that you can use to do that, which we've spoken about before, things like journaling, really, really help. And yeah, I think that's really at the heart of what I kind of help people to achieve. And it really is that simple. When your brain will show you what you're focused on, and if you're focused on what you haven't got and how crap it's going to be and how miserable you're going to feel, then it's self-fulfilling. But if you focus on how great you're going to feel and approach it with curiosity, it just makes such a huge difference, and you really notice it.
Exactly that. And once you've got this weekend ticked out the way, next weekend will seem so much more achievable.
Yeah, I think the other thing as well is people, it's very easy to kind of feel like how you feel right now is how it's always going to be, and you don't want it to be like that. But every single day, every single week, every single month that goes past where you're not drinking, it becomes your new norm. And we've talked about in the past, this kind of analogy, of taking a path. If you take a harder path, it becomes easier the more you do it, and your existing path kind of grows back. And I think that's what it's like. Every day it just gets better and better. But it's not how it is in that first kind of couple of weeks. Isn't the way it's always going to be.
That's it. That's it. But if anyone, do reach out. That's what our email is for. So do reach out, and it's info at thealcoholfreerevolution.co.uk. We've got our community up and running, as you are aware. But yeah, please, if you want to jump aboard and discuss all things dry January and alcohol free, that's where to reach us. Just pop us the word interested to info at thealcoholfreerevolution.co.uk.
Yeah, I mean, you pick up on a really great point there. I think the community piece is so important as well. Being around people, other people who are doing it, kind of, and people who have also achieved it. And the great thing about the community is that we have people at all sorts of different stages of going alcohol free. Some people are doing dry January, maybe they're a week in. Other people are still thinking about it, they're on the fence. And some other people have been doing it for a lot longer. But being around people, who are doing the same thing is just a huge thing. And I think some of the conversations that we've had on the community calls have just been, really empowering. People sharing tips, what works for them, and encouraging each other. And yeah, it's been great. And we really love doing it. And one of our priorities for this year is to keep growing the community. So if it's something that you think you'd like to take part in, it's completely free. We're just getting people together. Come and join us.
Awesome. Awesome. So what we got coming up this week?
Well, so we have an interview coming up with Mike Mudie, and Mike Mudie is CEO of a new drink that's out on the market, which is called Authentic Brew. You may have come across it. And before we get into it, actually, we've been lucky enough to have a discount code. So if anyone wants to try Authentic Brew, once they've had a listen to what Mike's got to say about it, and it's pretty inspiring stuff, you can find the details in the show notes. But effectively, if you put in our discount code, which is TAFRP10, which is the alcohol-free revolution 10%, you'll get 10% off Authentic Brew. It's new to the market. It's only been out a few months, but it's really tearing up some trees, and it's a fantastic product. And we're delighted to have Authentic Brew as an official sponsor, our first sponsor actually of the Alcohol Free Revolution podcast. I'm sure Guinness Zero will probably come next after this, but it's good to have a new brand out there.
Absolutely, absolutely. Can't wait for the conversation.
Yeah, well, let's get on with it. So this is our interview with Mike Mudie from Authentic Brew. Mike Mudie, welcome to the Alcohol Free Revolution podcast.
Thank you very much. It's an absolute honour and a pleasure to be on.
So we connected with you probably about a month ago. We've been following your story on social media with the launch of Authentic Brew, which has been all over the place. And we're delighted to get you on because I know you've got a really compelling backstory. We want to hear a little bit more about the drink as well. Obviously, we're putting this pod out in January as well. A lot of people are looking for alcohol-free alternatives. Talk to us a little bit about how you got into what you're doing.
Oh, that's a great opening question. So I can sort of start from the start if you want.
Please do.
I've had a bit of a journey to this point, so I can give you a bit of background into how it all came about. I think for me, and don't be fooled by this opening line, it's not going to be war and peace, but it started for me when I was 11 years old. I remember it vividly. I was the only boy in my school who couldn't go on the school trip to France. It was a week summer holiday because we couldn't afford it. Simple as that. So I had to go into school and have a week with the janitor. And it was at that point when I thought, bloody hell, man, you need funds. You need, finances to go and do these things and enjoy these things and have a bit of an adventure. So it was at that young age where the fire was lit for me. And, I suppose the entrepreneurial spirit in me started then. So I went off and did all sorts of things. Started with a paper round, which actually I carried on for a few years. Because it was so lucrative, not just selling, delivering the papers, but growing community. I got into golf as a result of someone I delivered papers to. Then you start, washing the cars and doing all these other odd jobs and, babysitting. And I was like, wow, this is cool. This is like entrepreneurial 101, at 11 years old. And then I suppose I just carried on, from that age. There was a real desire to have financial freedom. And I knew it wasn't coming from, family. So you had to go and do it yourself. And I just went into a lot of different roles and sort of climbed the mountain, if you will. I suppose I got into IT. So I became a seller within a software organisation and didn't know much about IT, but it paid well. And I did well in that arena. So remember, I just had that burning desire for financial freedom. So I was climbing the ladder to achieve that. And just sort of went from one place to the other. Grew teams, had more success. Started to stand on my own 2 feet, and ended up at exec leadership at one of the biggest corporate IT companies in the world, which was owned by Accenture and Microsoft. I don't know if you're
Hmm.
familiar with those two companies, but pretty big powerhouses in the industry. They had a subsidiary called Avanade, and it was like a services delivery arm of those two organisations. And I was actually their first person through the door without a university degree, which was pretty interesting. 30,000 staff, and I had to get lots of important people to write letters on my behalf to the CEO, and I had a few friendlies at Avanade who supported, me coming in. But it was really interesting that I was the first person through the door without a university degree,
Uh-huh.
which I thought was pretty bonkers. And then it turned out, I did their biggest deal in history, and it's one of their highest performers. So what was cool is that's since changed. You don't have to have a university degree, going into an organisation like that. Things have changed somewhat, which is really cool. So it's nice to play a little bit of part in that. And then I suppose, I was, in that corporate game where, I got to exec leadership there, and, I could see that I was happy with that. I was thinking that's my, that's like the holy mecca of where I wanted to be when I started out. And one of my advisors just sort of said to me, look, you can carry on doing this and, live the corporate dream, or you can come out and be a part of something a bit more agile. We can get involved in a buy-in IT company, and you can be a part of it, and we can help grow it together and, potentially exit. So that's what I did. So I had to walk away from that sort of corporate machine where I thought I was really happy.
Uh-huh.
And then sort of jumped out to start my own thing with three others. We bought an IT company that had been around for about 20 years. They were doing really well, had some amazing people, doing some great projects, and just needed a little bit of support, commercially and to scale, which we brought to the table. So it's a match made in heaven. And sort of we grew and scaled that company, and then eventually sold it. And I stayed on with our buyer for a couple of years, finished all my duties, handed in my laptop, and then I thought, that's it, I'm off into the sunset. And I went for dinner with my wife that night, and then the very next morning, I couldn't get out of bed. I was absolutely done. I genuinely couldn't get out of bed. It's not like, I was just needed a bit of rest. I couldn't physically move. I couldn't put one foot in front of the other. I couldn't lift an arm. Couldn't feed myself. I was in all sorts of symptoms, from racing heart to felt like I had barbed wire around my head, like paralysed in terms of muscle movement. And man, I thought that was the end for me. And if you think back to where that story started, that 11-year-old, the fire was lit. So I've been trying to climb this mountain, and eventually got there, finished my duties, went to bed, and my body just stopped, just gave up. And what I found out, it was full like adrenal burnout. I had a specialist in Chinese medicine come over, and she drew on a bit of paper, massive bit of paper, my body, and she showed 6 areas where it was actually on fire. And what I found is my subconscious and central nervous system turned off my motor skills, so I had no choice than just to rest and recover. So I couldn't get out of bed even if I wanted to. And I just thought that was amazing. And before all that, I went down the medical route. So I saw the best people in neurology, cardiology, bloods, hormones, body parts. And it was just a blanket of antidepressants, sleeping tablets, painkillers, blood thinners, mood enhancers. And for whatever reason, man, call it intuition or a guiding light, but I didn't touch any of that. And I didn't think that was the way to go. So then I went the holistic road and met some amazing people, like in Chinese medicine, in simple things like reflexology, deep tissue massage, Indian head massage, Reiki, to try and bring sort of the body back to a natural rhythm and heartbeat, which it did. But the real turning point was when those specialists went out and they were foraging locally. I'm on the Hampshire-Surrey border, and they were just going out, like locally to me, along the canal and back garden, picking all sorts of things, leaves, roots, berries, mushrooms, bark of trees, and grasses, and they were making like homemade brews with hot water, and I was consuming these, and with all that stuff, as well as just getting out into nature. I've been blinkered all that time, out the front door, on a train, into the office, and then repeat. You miss all that. So just getting back into Mother Nature, just walking outside, barefoot, going into forests. Sounds a bit, happy clappy, but that's what happened. And sea swimming. I was going in, swimming in lakes, even swimming in some ponds. And just really immersing back into the natural heartbeat and rhythm of the world that wasn't on the hamster wheel of work. And I recovered fairly quickly. It was like a 6-month process of being flat on my back, but when I went the holistic road, I would say it was like about 2 months from start to finish, where I just had full energy and full power back. And just got all my vibrancy back, all my sort of mojo, like everything was just like firing. And a big part of it for me was just consuming Mother Nature. That was the thing that really spoke to me. And it went deep. It went deeper, man. I was getting stuff in my dreams, about the adrenal system and what was going on to my body and how I was going to recover. And it was pretty a phenomenal encounter for me to experience. So I'll pause there for any sort of comments before I carry on.
That must have been pretty scary to catch you off guard like that. I mean, most people, when they're coming into some kind of, it sounds to me like corporate burnout, but without a warning sign beforehand, just to wake up and suddenly be in that situation must have been absolutely terrifying. Pretty quick jump onto how did you stumble across the sort of Chinese medicine route? Was that something you'd looked into before, or is it you just
no? So just on your first point, it really caught me off guard. And I suppose I became so accustomed to operating, at a pretty high level, of just being, fueled by adrenaline. So for me, it was just normal. It didn't feel like there was a warning sign. I didn't, 2 months before go, I feel really, bad. It was all pretty cool, pretty chilled and exciting. The ups and downs of any, life and business. So it really struck me off guard, and it was really scary. We called an ambulance a number of times, thinking that was it. Pretty scary. And medical route path. The medical route first, and like you do, trust in what doctors are telling you, and they weren't telling me much other than everything looks fine. Like all the brain scans were good, the heart scans were good, like body parts were good, blood was good. It was all about better and good. It was like, this is like ideal. All my markers, like oxygen in the body, and all the usual counts were in good nick. But I was, couldn't move. So we were sharing that within sort of close friends and family, and we got recommended a few people to go and speak to, which was, felt really left field to me. I wasn't used to that world at all. So it was a bit apprehensive. But, I saw someone initially. For the very first thing that happened was deep tissue massage session, which is pretty standard. But it was like with some real natural, like homemade, nothing that you can go and buy. It was like homemade natural oils. And even just like the smell of that and that on my body, I was like, like almost you can feel yourself coming back around to life. And then, then it's one of those, snowball effect through, network and word of mouth. You start to meet some amazing people in that holistic world, plus your own research, online. And I reckon it was like a community of, I think it was about sort of 16 individuals in the end, like all specialising in their fields, who just came and helped out, because I really thought that was the end for me. So you pull out all the stops to try and get better. And what was so interesting for me was it wasn't going to come from the medical route. It was going to come from this holistic route, which, if you look back, thousands of years before pharmaceuticals were a thing, we were using that stuff for medicinal purposes. So it's just, going back to our ancient roots. And it was just, it was so profound that I thought that, it opened up, Pandora's box for me, that I've got to go and explore this further.
What sort of time period was this in, Mike? How old were you when you had this first attack?
This was last July.
Wow. And how old were you at that point?
39.
Oh wow! So it was pretty much coming up to midlife then. So, and how's that sort of changed you over the past year or so? How have you changed your lifestyle from that corporate background to where you are now? What are the key differences?
I think the first thing for me was I made a decision to come off alcohol, to come off caffeine, and to come off sugars, like added sugar, fine sugars. And I haven't gone back to those, and they're just out of my life now for good. So just those three things, I would say, has been mega in terms of an uplift to overall, calm, balance, harmony within my body and mind and soul. I think that's the biggest thing. And then putting your health and well-being first, like that comes before anything, man. Because if your health and well-being is in check, then you can be a great husband, a great dad, a great friend. You can build businesses. You can be a great work colleague. You can do all these things, but without health and fitness at the fore, you can't be any of that.
No.
But I had that the other way around, for so long.
I think you can have 100 problems in life until you have a health problem, and then you've just got one problem.
Exactly.
And it's, I think, and clearly I think what's happened to you. So, would you mind me asking, how much were you drinking to begin with? Were you quite a moderate drinker or a heavy drinker or middle lane? Where would you place yourself?
I would say I was probably a middle lane drinker. Because given what I was doing,
it sounds like your career was probably quite stressful. The alcohol comes along with that.
Yeah, and it was quite full on, right? I had to be accountable to a lot of people, growing teams and a lot of global clients, and interacting with, senior people, and you can't turn up hungover. So I was sort of middle lane drinker, but very prone to a binge.
Yeah.
We needed to go out on a night out with the sales team, or take clients out, or
it's expected, isn't it?
Yeah, and I was right there, leading the charge on that stuff. But never. I didn't think it ever really got in the way of my sort of work performance or home performance. It was, but I knew it was always there. It was detrimental. It always sort of lasted a couple of days after a big night out, but it was just part and parcel of it. It started when I was young, all the way through. Yeah. And I did a break actually in 2020 when my wife was pregnant. And that's how I found my now co-founder, Andy Ramage.
Okay.
Because I did a year off while my wife was pregnant. Because I said, look, if you're pregnant and can't drink, then I'm going to do it with you. And that was a phenomenal year, just in terms of productivity, performance at work, performance at home, general well-being of life. And really, I think that year changed the trajectory of my career. Having that year off.
1 year off.
Yeah. But then the son was born, he celebrated all the wins at work and all the stuff that was going on, and it just slowly fell back into it. That first, champagne cork was popped, and then you're on the trail again. But like I said, it was never something that I worried about. It was just sort of there in the background, pulling you back on that, that metaphorical bit of string holding you back. And I could feel it, And then, yeah, when I had that burnout, fast forward to last July, yeah, I knew that from the people that I was speaking to, any stimulants, you just can't have that given my symptoms.
Yeah.
So I've just totally cut coffee, caffeine, sugars and alcohol. And they're just out of my life now. Those things are gone.
Would that have, do you feel that that came from a learning from your year off? I was going to ask you whether you'd ever questioned your relationship with alcohol before you took that year off, but I think you kind of just answered that. But when you took your decision to cut those stimulants out once you had this life-changing event, how much of that was through advice from the advice you were seeking, or how much it was from the learnings? You mentioned some of the positives you saw from that year that you took out back in 2020.
Do you know what? I always said to myself, once I'm out of this corporate gig that I was in, I'm going to stop. I'm going to come off alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just weird how that happened, right? The very next day, when I didn't foresee it, but I was, burnt out, gone. And I knew that it was time to stop all of that stuff. But it was always on my mind. I always toyed with it since that 2020 break where I totally flourished and everything was cool. I knew that was a bit of a recipe for success.
One of the things that jumps out to me from that is a lot of the people that we speak to, and definitely was my story, I know it was Steve's, is most people haven't had that length of break when they come to their late 30s. Most people have just been chugging away for 20, 25 years. And maybe they've taken a week off when they had a cold. Obviously, dry January's become a bit more of a thing in the last sort of 10 years or so. But very few people kind of take a year off and then go back to it. But then you obviously had the benefit of knowing what the differences are because you have that data of how you know what it feels like after you've taken a year off. And then you slip back into it. So I think when you got sick, I guess you kind of almost knew what the solution was to an extent. I know you went down the holistic route and you stopped, sugar and caffeine, but you must have been thinking, I know it's really going to help this because I've done it before. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, you're bang on, 100%. And yeah, it was just an interesting time, man, because I was having some coaching with Andy as well. So, I'd always sort of toyed with the idea of, totally giving up alcohol because it just wasn't serving me. I was getting to a point where, even on the nights out, having a few drinks, I didn't really enjoy that anymore. It's like that race had been run. So him and I had agreed actually, but post my exit from this, organisation, that would be my alcohol done as well. Because I knew I had a 12-month, non-compete. So I was going to be, out the corporate hamster wheel for 12 months. And I thought, what a time to just have that time for me. So alcohol wasn't going to feature. It just so happened that, none of this was foreseen in terms of the burnout. So,
how much do you think, maybe it's a little bit difficult to kind of put a metric on it, but how much of the burnout do you think was actually contributed to the alcohol? And if it was only if you don't think it was particularly relevant, then it wasn't. I'm not trying to kind of, give you a loaded question, but do you think it played much of a role in it?
Yeah, I've definitely played a part because it just depletes you of everything, right? It just takes, so definitely played a part.
And that's coming from a middle lane drinker as well. It's not like you were an alcoholic or you were had a dependency. It was just a mid-level, but you still noticed that drain.
Yeah, 100%. So yeah, it definitely played a part and contributed to it, I would say, as well as a lot of other things. The way I've rationalised it in my head is from that 11-year-old boy on a mission, right? And I was just this relentless being to achieve and get to the top of that mountain. And when I did it, my body then went, okay, you can rest now. And that was it. And I think, the alcohol contributed to that. Because, I was drinking from 15 years old. It's a big part of everything. Society, growing up in Brighton, all the nights out and the clubbing. And then you got into the rugby and rugby teams. It's just like standard for...
Yeah.
for everyone to, drink, and then you get into the workplace and it's just this.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was the 90s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what happened in the 90s.
It's such a common story for everybody.
It is. It really is.
Exactly. Yeah, it's crazy, man. It's good. Well, you guys know more than most, but even my 5-year-old son, when I dropped him to school before the Christmas break, and I don't know if you've seen it. This is a bit random, but there's all around the UK. There's people who knit tops of post boxes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I've seen that.
And this because it was Christmas coming up. There was mince pies and champagne and red wine and beers. So all these kids going to school at 2 to 4, they're just seeing this like Christmas associated with mince pies and booze. It's like you're getting indoctrinated at such a young age. So you just think it's normal and standard.
So this year you're learning to knit, right? And you're going to knit an Authentic Brew can and put it on all the post boxes around the area. Yeah,
that's happening. I love it. But yeah, no, it just goes to show, right, that from a young age, I think it's ingrained to everything. So yeah, to step outside of the box and see alcohol for what it is it was a big thing, and I toyed with that from when I took that break. So probably about a 5-year period where I did that year break and then went back to it, but knew it wasn't quite right, and then I was going to come out of it. I battled with that a little bit. Even as a middle lane drinking, it never got in the way, I thought, of home life or work. I just knew that it was sort of pulling me back. So yeah, it was time to stop. But
do you miss it at all?
No, I don't. It's funny, man. People laugh at me because I've got quite an extensive wine collection at home that just sort of sits there. And when I see it now, it's got no. There's just empty. And yeah, that was something that I loved. Right, I love collecting and drinking red wine.
Yeah.
It becomes part of your identity, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. And yeah, just the thought of it now is.
Yeah. I'm the same. I've got wine racks in the house that have got bottles of wine in, and coming from my background as well, and some pretty expensive bottles of wine. I've got an incredibly expensive bottle of champagne. I have no desire to drink it, but it's actually really hard to get rid of the stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, I've got probably a fortnight's holiday sitting in stock in the house that I could just quite happily get rid of and sell and go away for a break. But it's trying to get rid of this stuff that's the hard part.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, same situation. So no, I don't miss it at all. And I think when you keep all the rituals and just replace the ingredients, happy days.
Yeah, brilliant. So tell us a little bit about the next chapter then, Mike. So you've talked about obviously the burnout you went through and the health challenges and the holistic approach. How's that led you on to what you're doing now with Authentic Brew?
Good question. So it was all totally integrated. So as part of that recovery, remember, the key things for me was consuming Mother Nature, and that came with taking on some amazing ingredients that was from the ground and from the earth. So I looked to the marketplace for some really cool products to help me recover, because to have 16 people running around foraging for you and making brews is not sustainable. So I looked to the marketplace for some cool products in the UK, and I couldn't find any. It was just lots and lots of products branded up as healthy for you. But when you looked under the covers, it was garbage. There was some really cool boutique organisations out there who are supplying some really cool stuff. And we've actually partnered with a few of them with Authentic Brew. But nothing in mainstream. Like, there was nothing really out there that was legit. When you looked under the covers, it was like high sugar, synthetic products. None of the main ingredients could be tracked back to source. It was like imported, cheap, almost like imitation materials. And I tried loads of them, and I felt like I was getting my symptoms back.
Right.
So I was like, there's just nothing really there, man. This ticket like really hits the box, hits the spot or ticks the box. Um, and we kept on looking and looking and looking and just couldn't find anything that was really pure. So we went on a bit of a mission. So we went to 3 different continents with individuals or agencies, and we said, look, we're looking for some products that have these ingredients in. And for me, it was mainly around specific types of mushroom, seaweed, and roots
Uh-huh.
from trees. And we said, go and find out. It was a 3-month project. And the stuff that came back was nil. Nothing passed the test.
Right.
And there was nothing out there with these ingredients like in. So I was like, this is crazy. I can't remember the exact number, but it was like I think it was 211 or 208 products that we found. And 2 of them would have been okay to consume properly. And they were still not great, the 2 that would pass. So we were like, this is crazy, man. There's nothing in the marketplace that's like ultra pure. So that was the first thing. That was the first little bit of a light that turned on, and I was actually quite gutted, because remember, this was for my recovery, so I was looking for stuff to help me. So I was thinking that's a shame, because I would quite like something in a single form that I can consume on a daily basis to help my recovery and just enhance my well-being. So and that sort of led me on to the next big thing for me, and why Authentic Brew came about was when we looked at the marketplace for these products. What we found is a lot of the elite sporting clubs, so F1 teams, football clubs, rugby clubs, Olympics athletes, these sporting bodies, a lot of them were sponsored by traditional energy drinks or alcohol brands. And I was just thinking, this is a bit nuts, because you've got all these elite level athletes and they're partnered up with traditional energy drinks and alcohol brands that we know the ingredients in those drinks are detrimental to health. So I was lucky, right? Given my IT career, I used to look after F1 teams. We used to do like their high performance trackside computing. So I went back to that network and asked them, are your drivers, your teams actually consuming this stuff? And the answer is no.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? You see Max Verstappen and he's always got the Red Bull bottle, but it's not got Red Bull in it.
No. And then we went to some football clubs, high profile football clubs, because, in IT we used to do their like smart arenas, fan engagement. So when you walk in, the Wi-Fi goes on and, you get 10% off a t-shirt that you bought 3 months ago and all of that stuff. And we went back to them and some of the coaches and, the nutritionist teams and asked them, your main sponsors Red Bull, your main sponsors Prime, your main sponsors Monster and Rockstar. What's the deal? Are your players and your academy members and your ladies actually consuming this stuff? The answer is no. Not just no, they were contractually banned from consuming it.
No way. That's insane.
It's crazy, right?
It's kind of wrong as well, because it's deception. What you're presenting to the public isn't reality. I mean, that's where we live in, isn't it? But
It is, and I wasn't quite aware of that, because I was sort of, it never really was on my radar, and it made sense. They were contractually banned because they're such high net worth assets to the clubs.
Of course.
So of course the clubs want them to be in peak performance and consume stuff that's going to enhance their abilities. So yeah, they weren't allowed to drink any of it. So I was like, that is just crazy. So you got those two things, right? The first part of that story is there's nothing really in the market that is pure. And I mean pure that you would give to my 5-year-old son. And then second of all, you've got this whole world in elite sport, that the brands associated to those sporting clubs, the players and teams don't actually consume them because they're detrimental to health. So I was like, if imagine if we had a magic wand and we could create a product that is pure, it's good, it's healthy, it's Mother Nature, it's from the earth, from the sea, and you can consume it and you can benefit from it, mind, body and soul. And imagine that in these sporting clubs where the players actually consume it and love it, and it helps their performance, and they can share it with their friends and their family. They can go on TV, after races and after matches and evangelize genuinely that this product's great and we're consuming it and it's legit. And I just thought, well, let's make the magic wand happen. So Authentic Brew was born.
Wow.
And we went on a 15 months R&D with the best people in medicine, science, botany, plant alchemy, nutrition, to almost evolve my healing experience of, can we put these things into a drink form initially and make it viable? Like, can we actually do this? Because, I won't go into too much detail, but putting things like mushrooms and seaweed and, roots of trees and bark and berries of trees, in the same sort of formulation. The microbiology of these things all play a massive part, and they might not be suited. So we had to do test after test after test after test after test after test to see if it is viable. And we went to 7 of the world's best liquid development companies, and one of them wanted to take it on.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's the organisation that we ended up working with. And I would say they're the pioneers of liquid development. They brought Seedlip to the world, which you guys might know.
I love Seedlip.
Yeah, so they brought them to the world with Ben Branson maybe sort of 11, 12 years ago. And it just continued to evolve. Yeah, looking at some really cool alternative ways to create drinks. And Seedlip's now a $12 billion empire, around the world. And that was a similar story for them. They all, the people who were going to make that thought it was a bit bonkers putting that stuff together. And we had a similar experience. But yeah, we managed it, and yeah, we are pioneering the functional energy space. It's a world's first what we've done.
That's amazing. I was going to ask you, would you put it in the functional drinks category, which obviously is one that's really starting to bloom over the last kind of couple of years or so within the broader alcohol-free space, right? It seems to be where there's the biggest amount of innovation and growth at the moment. And yeah, I'm fascinated to try Authentic actually. And you've recently, when was the actual launch?
We launched on the 25th of November. So this is our 6th week of being live from all that stuff previous. And yeah, it's been amazing, man. We're really lucky. It's gone off really well, better than expected. We're getting a lot of support, a lot of people trying it and loving it. Both the taste and the benefits. And a lot of repeat buyers and people that just want to help spread the word, because what we're doing is slightly different. We say we're born to be the catalyst of change, and that's come out of that that whole sporting anecdote that I told you. And we've got some really interesting household names in sport who want to put it to the test, and if it's legit, they'll help us shout about it. And one thing we're doing at Authentic Brew is we're not paying anybody just to pay them a bit of money and for them to talk about Authentic Brew, because that's so inauthentic. We'll let all the other, brands do that. But we're sort of building a movement, and we're getting a lot of support. But we're only 6 weeks in, and the momentum's building. So and the more people trying it, the more people are loving it and sharing their experiences. Just to give you a little vibe of what's in it, right? So we've got 3 different types of UK organic mushroom. So these are from the only certified organic mushroom farmer in the UK. He does wild strains called Bristol Fungarium. You can check him out. So they do, in our drink, we've got lion's mane, reishi and chaga. So 3 pretty powerful mushrooms. And then we've got the sea element. So we've got sea kelp, sea moss, sea lettuce and samphire in our drink. Are pretty, punchy doses. We use organic kombucha as well, which is really, really cool. We use something called rhodiola, which is like an ancient root, and we do a fermentation process on it. And out of all the strains of rhodiola, this is the only one that passes the blood-brain barrier, so it goes straight into your central nervous system. And it has a real calming effect, like rebalancing effect on just your biology and neurology. It's pretty amazing stuff. A little bit of ginseng, chamomile. We use natural extract from leaves, which is our L-theanine. We use hawthorn essence. Hawthorn's a tree in the UK. We use a bit of quasi wood for its bitterness, which is really, really nice. And then some more modern products for a bit of a association. So we use lemongrass, lemon peel, and grape juice, which gives it a bit of a what's the right word? It gives it like a bit of a familiarity.
Right.
Because if you just have all these things that nobody's ever tried before, they're going to go, "What's this?" So we've made it like taste incredible, and that was one of the things that I very much stipulated at the start was forget about the story, forget about the branding, because we've got epic branding, by the way. Forget about the backstory, forget about the team, forget about everything. If you just put somebody in a room with a blindfold on and said, "Try that," we want them to go, "That is the best tasting drink I've ever tasted, ever."
So what, if you had to describe the taste to someone who's not tried it before, can you do that?
It's really tricky one, man. And we did 2,500 consumer tests before we went live.
Wow.
And everyone's sort of description of it was slightly different. One of my favourites is it tastes like a slap in the face from Mother Nature. I really like that.
Is that good?
It is that good, yeah. It's hard to describe. For me, you definitely get about a bit of the lemongrass coming through. You taste a little bit of the sea, the ocean, with all the seaweed and sea herbs. But then you've got that earthiness of the mushrooms and the woods and the barks. But yeah, it's just delightfully refreshing. It's such a unique flavour, and it tastes like nothing. It's like I couldn't say to you, it tastes a bit like peach and mint or
No.
strawberry and whatever the flavour of the month is. It's not like that. It tastes like an authentic brew, and that was our plan from the start to have an absolute unique flavour profile, and that's why nobody wanted to do it. Because in this modern era that we live in, all these drinks companies coming to market, they just use templates.
Yeah.
And they just knock them out left, right, and centre. Like if you Googled, functional drink, there's thousands. They're all full of the same stuff, made in the same places. So that's why only one of the organisations wanted to take it on, because we were doing something really pioneering. And that ingredients list has never, ever, ever been put in the same vessel ever. It's a world's first. And and the taste had to be unique, and the taste had to outweigh all the other noise around the brand, and it has. So yeah, we're really pleased that we've nailed it. And yeah, 6 weeks in, man. So exciting times ahead. We're D2C focused, so direct to consumer. So you come and join the Authentic Brew crew, the ABC, online, and you can buy as much or as little as you want, one-offs, and it's next day delivery, so it turns up at your house the very next day. Or you can subscribe, which what we're finding is people are doing probably on like the third purchase.
Mm-hmm.
They sort of try it, they maybe buy a bit more, and then they're like, okay, this is cool, and then they subscribe. We're not in any high streets, and that's not the plan. We're going to be working with some sort of lighthouse partnerships who really match our vision and values and have got big scale. So can really help us with brand awareness and getting it into the right people's hands. And yeah, we're looking to expand out into Europe, the Middle East, US, and Australia and New Zealand. And we're actually in talks with some really interesting distributors at the moment who are going to support us on that journey. So yeah, exciting, man. Watch
Yeah,
this
for
space.
sure. So I'm
Sounds.
sorry, Steve, go on.
No, you go. You go.
I was just going to say, so I'm curious to know. Obviously, you mentioned there you've been working with friend of the pod, Andy Ramage. Obviously, Steve and I know really well. What point on this journey did Andy start taking an interest?
So yeah, like I mentioned, Andy and I have known each other since 2019 actually. So yeah, six years, and he was coaching me through my pre-burnout. What am I going to do next? Type thing. It's helping me navigate what I could do after my corporate role came to an end. And typically, he was probably going to be back into another corporate role, but with some balance and the making sure I was getting some well-being in there. So him and I had always been in touch, and during the burnout, obviously, I couldn't have my sessions with him because I was like, on my back.
Yeah.
And during my recovery, I'd been keeping him in touch with, what's happening and this little project that we were on, and he was taking a big interest in it. And two main things. It's a bit like the energy drink market was very much like big alcohol. So it's big indoctrination, lots of movie stars, sports people, evangelizing about these alcohol brands. None of them drink it. And it was the same for the energy drink market in sport. And Andy found that very interesting. Also, one of the key things for me, and this is the foundation of Authentic Brew, was that I wanted to do good in the world, not just sell loads of products and make loads of money. That's nothing to do with Authentic Brew. Authentic Brew, we give 25% of our net profit to our foundation, and that distributes funds to biodiversity and restoration projects around the world.
25%. That is a very meaningful percentage of your revenue.
Yeah. And Authentic Brew is not about making money. It's about being the catalyst of change and what we call rewilding people and places. So it's...
Wow, that's serious.
Yeah, serious. And that's the driving force of Authentic Brew. So we're going to come up with these incredible products to get out into the world, but those products will feed the foundation, which then you can really do some meaningful work. And the drink's just the launch product. So we've got other things on the horizon. Sort of everyday household products that people are consuming that we're just going to turn on their head and do an authentic brew on them. So that's really exciting. And yeah, it go internationally like the regions that I mentioned. So he was very much interested in the foundation element because one of his big goals in life is to give back and sort of support that whole global regeneration movement. And when I said to him that this was the driving force of Authentic Brew, we want to, our mission is rewilding people and places. He was just like, I have to be involved in this. Obviously we had a relationship, and I think it was just, everything coming together. And what's so interesting is the people who we talk to about Authentic Brew, everyone wants to be involved in some form. And what's really unique about what we're doing is it's not transactional based. It's not, we pay you this, you give us this. People genuinely just want to be a part of the movement and be on the journey and see it do well. and do good. And yeah, we've got an exciting part of Authentic Brew, which is all about that. I can't say too much about it yet, 'cause it's just going through all the sort of trademarking process, but it is coming together of minds, businesses, people, where you all help each other out, but there's no transaction. It's not like you're this great player in this space, we're going to pay you, X to come and do Y for us. We just do it because it's going to help each other out, and it's going to help the bigger picture of rewilding people and places.
Shared values.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why we're saying we're born to be the catalyst of change, because in this modern world, it's all done on transaction. So we're taking the transactions out of it, and creating something, really cool for people and places to naturally thrive. And that's through Authentic Brew products, which are, pioneering world-class products that people are currently, loving, consuming. And that's the rewilding of people as well. It's getting these natural ingredients into them, which typically wouldn't have the opportunity to do. Like me, like my story.
It's so inspirational to hear where this has been born from and your story. And so often we hear comments around drinks or products that are being launched onto the market. Oh, we're 100% natural this, we're 100% natural that. And we hear it so often. But to listen to you speak for the last sort of 45 minutes and talk about the real story behind that and the amount of time, effort and hard slog that's gone into find something that I'm super, super excited to try this. And I genuinely feel, it's on the brink of something completely new. And I can hear that come across in your voice throughout the whole conversation, really.
Yeah, cool. Thanks for that feedback. It's really appreciated. And yeah, it is something new. It's something new to the market and something new to the world. And, we've got a really cool team, world-class team involved, which is growing, to help us get it out there. And I think working with these distributors in other regions to just get Authentic Brew in people's hands, I think is going to be really exciting. So yeah, one of our team members, Laura Crane, she's a big wave surfer. I don't know if you've seen, but
I heard about this. Yeah, I heard this week. Yes, it's just become the biggest wave ever surfed by a female. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right, in Nazaré. So she's been part of our Authentic Brew family from the start, helping us with sort of ingredients and branding and doing loads of tests and making sure it's legit. She does a lot for ocean regeneration and the foundation element, and our mission spoke to her, spoke to her heart. So yeah, she's been involved early on, and we're getting a lot of love in that community. Sort of surf community is pretty mega for us. I suppose powered by Mother Nature. That's their sport right there.
Yeah.
And yeah, we got a biodiversity lead who's helping make sure that everything we do aligns to our own sort of sustainable framework, which is really cool. We got somebody who's a plant alchemist, sort of world-renowned plant alchemist, who makes sure that there's no compromise. We're not cutting any corners. It really is powered by Mother Nature, which is cool. And yeah, myself and Andy, and then we've got an extended team of like-minded people who are supporting with the day-to-day stuff, marketing, branding, all the stuff that goes with it. So yeah, it's exciting time. Early days, we're 6 weeks in.
6 weeks.
Yeah, I'll go live.
So if people want to try Authentic Brew or learn a little bit more about it, where's the best place for them to go?
So two things. So website is the first place. So www.authenticbrew.com, and there you can see everything. From the sort of the team members, the backstory, all the ingredients. You can learn about our community, our foundation, and there's a shop on there as well. And the second thing I would say is, from that website, join the Authentic Brew crew. It takes 5 seconds. You just click join us, first name and email address, and then you're part of the community. And that community is a real thriving place to be. You get insights into team members, into our partners, into our foundation, into the ingredients. We're doing some sort of in-person events at some really amazing places with some incredible people that money can't buy. Like you couldn't go and hire these spaces and have an event there, but we're doing that because of what we're doing. A lot of people want to support, so we're doing one of those monthly, and just get immersed in a pioneering brand that's doing something a bit different.
Awesome.
Wonderful. Well, I think on that note, we'll wish you all the best for the future with the product, Mike. We're definitely keen to try it. And yeah, I think it's super exciting what you're doing. And thank you so much for being so generous with your time. I think your story is, as Steve said, really inspirational. And we wish you all the best with it in 2026. Thanks for coming on the pod.
Awesome.
Oh, thanks both. I really appreciate your time and letting me share the story on your podcast. Yeah, we're the team here are big fans of your work, so it's been an absolute pleasure to be on and share what we're up to at Authentic Brew.
Amazing.
Great stuff. Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll see you next week.